Yeah. Hello, everyone. It's been a long time since we came up with this episode, and while I was struggling to do the program by myself, I needed a bit of motivation. And this guy who's joined us today, Varun, mera year bro, uh, we used to exchange memes on cricket and talk unofficially on what is happening. मैंने सोचा यार वैसे भी it's been a long while since I have come up with something. There's a lot that I wanted to talk about, but I would want to do it in a conversational format rather than in a monologue. तो मैंने बस इसको पूछा कि भाई कॉन्वर्जेशन करते हैं क्या इसने बोला करते हैं एंड हियर वी आर डोंट नो हाउ दिस इज गोइंग टू गो कंप्लीटली अनप्रिपेयर्ड इसने तो 5 मिनट का रिसर्च किया हुआ है मेरा तो आई एम कंप्लीटली अनप्रिपेयर्ड बट यस today we'll be primarily focusing on cricket as a whole, but what we want to focus is more so on the test format, but we'll also bring in perspectives on how the game has evolved from being a single or a dual format game to this multi-format, multi-dimensional, where you have international teams, league teams, domestic, all of that. How is that influenced, and where do we stand, and how do we see this game going forward? Right? इसमें primarily दो जगह से बात होगी. We hope to start off with the game overall, the entire ecosystem overall, and probably towards the later end of the discussion focus on uh, cricket in India, because let's be very honest, 80 to 90% of the overall game is currently influenced by how India wants to take the game forward, right? So that's where I think we would want to structure this conversation, and let's see how this goes. Thank you,
Yes.
Varun, for joining in and your initial thoughts.
Thanks a lot. It's a deep, very great honor to be on Silly Pointer with Kalyana Krishnan, the great, my year bro. So you just mentioned we are sharing memes unofficially. Yeah, I think this is also pretty much unofficial. The podcast we are doing now. Nothing official about this as well. So let's go. Let's have some fun. And yeah, pretty excited. So yeah, before starting, like, what do you think? What inspired you to follow cricket? Basically, like, as a memory, when did you start following cricket?
Yeah, there are very minimal things that I connected with my father in my childhood. Both of us growing up, I had a completely different line of thinking than what he had for most of the things in life. But two things that we connected passionately on was Tamil movies, especially focused on Rajnikant. Me and him have watched a lot of these classical Rajnikant movies, and the love for the game. Unfortunately, as I grew up, he had an idea that I was getting too serious into the game, and that was impacting my academics. So um, his involvement in the game and his the environment that was offered at home was kind of reduced. The influence was reduced as I grew up, but before that, during the you know transition years of India, from say the late 90s to the early and mid 2000s, the Saurav Ganguly era, the Rahul Dravid era, Sachin Tendulkar, Lakshman era, and all. A lot of games that me and my dad followed, and I think that's where I could say that my love for the game stemmed up.
That's great. So I'll share my story. Like, it was very brief memory, like 99, that time, someone Sachin's Desert Storm. That's the first memory I have of cricket. Like, everyone in the house is so excited watching that match live. Tony great commentary. I don't remember the exact visuals. It was too long ago. But yeah, that was the first like craze that I witnessed that cricket had in the family or in the country. Then later, I think every Indian household, you start getting on your birthdays a bat or something. If you're a boy, you get a bat. So yeah, you start picking up playing that, and everywhere in the building around or in the society, neighborhood, everyone's playing cricket. So that's what and if you play well at it, you suddenly like something, right? So yeah,
हाँ यार
and that's
मतलब if you see, that's been the story for millions of Indians like us
exactly.
ना कि अभी हम क्रिकेट का प्रोग्रेस देखते हैं स्पेशली इन इंडिया. It's always compared with the growth of the stock market, Sensex and cricket का graph कई बार दिखाते हैं, Nifty and Sensex का graph, and inflation in India and cricket, or population in India and cricket. It's actually become an economic and a social measure of India as a country's progress, which is kind of directly related to the growth of the game. And I think it's a beautiful thing when
Yeah.
you are a struggling country, you are trying to make an identity of your own. Uh, uh, there needs to be something which unites
Exactly.
across all households, as you said, right? Rightfully, growing up, uh, you watch your heroes on television, and then you try to emulate them, in your circle, be it your society, your school, your friends. Um, it starts off as a very innocent desire, both
Yeah.
for us, our parents, our grandparents, but uh, there is so much in the sport that connects the country together, that I think it has just carried the emotions of people, as the country has been through so many milestones, so many even certain challenges on
Mm.
the geopolitical scale. Our dear neighbors,
Wonderful movie.
the influence with them has shaped up with regards to the game. Or I think cricket, अगर मैं बोलूँ तो before any other uh, industry or social vertical could shape up India's identity on the global stage, I think cricket was the first aspect that put India on the global stage after our independence. And I think a lot of credit has to go to Sachin in that regard,
Absolutely. Mm.
because one man putting India on the global stage by the means of cricket, it's a story that's for the fables, man.
I think we'll have to do a separate episode on Sachin Tendulkar, specifically how he's impacted so many lives. Any
Yeah.
favorite memory you'll pick, like before 2000, after 2000? Before
Before,
2000 तो खैर इतना याद नहीं रहेगा, but
yeah.
2010 के पहले और 2010 के बाद.
Obviously, यार, that NatWest final, Saurav Ganguly
ज्यादा.
in Lords.
Mm.
Uh, Again, मेरे को क्यों वो पसंद है? There are two, three reasons, right? Because at that point, still, you had domination from countries like England, Australia, West
हाँ.
Indies, and इंडिया. जैसे मैं बोल रहा हूँ यार, इंडिया एज अ कंट्री जो अपना मार्क बनाने को देख रहा था इन द ग्लोबल स्पेस, क्रिकेट में भी इंडिया वाज हियर एंड देयर. इंडिया वाजंट लाइक, oh my god, the the scared or the favorites at that point of time, but you knew they had something. You knew that this was a group of men
Mm.
to be watched about, right? And वो सीरीज अगर तू देखेगा, सी यू आस्क्ड अबाउट द मूवमेंट, एंड द मूवमेंट इज आइकॉनिक. दैट शर्ट फ्लिंग ऑफ दादा फ्रॉम दैट balcony, the Lord's balcony,
Mm.
is just a representative of that series as a whole. हुआ क्या था उसका थोड़ा बैकग्राउंड अगर तू देखेगा तो, फ्लिंटॉफ had done that
मुंबई
about,
में,
yeah,
वानखेड़े में.
Mumbai में, yeah, about 6-7 months back. And yeah, we had no answer to it. कोई हमारे घर पे आके, हमारे घर पे कोई ऐसा कर रहा है, इट्स अ शो ऑफ dominance, it's a show, it's an expression that's saying that I'm here and I'm here to rule you guys over here, right? So
Yeah.
with that feeling of kind of hurt, and that emotion is where these group of players have landed in England. और अगर तू देखेगा, ऑब्वियसली वो मैच हमको युवराज एंड कैफ का वो पार्टनरशिप ने जिताया.
स्टार्टिंग
एंड दे
स्टार्टिंग
वर
में
जस्ट
गांगुली
स्टार्ट,
ऑल्सो.
एग्जैक्टली,
या.
दे वर जस्ट स्टार्टिंग अप. बट वो जो प्लेटफॉर्म ले किया गांगुली, एंड आई थिंक
सेवक.
was it सेवक, या सेवक
सेवक.
वाज
सेवक.
ओपनिंग.
या.
तो यार वो आई थिंक वो स्टार्ट था, जो आज ये लोग ये बैसबॉल एरा और ये सब बात करते हैं, वो स्टार्ट था बोलने को कि यार we are not going to go down as a meek cricket team of 11 players who've come to England. Probably we've never won of that magnitude over there, but Dada's captaincy and the way he was able to rally the players around and say कि यार मैं fight देगा. We've
Mm.
leveled the series. This is the opportunity that we can show them who we are and give them back for everything that they've done to us, right? और वो जो opening partnership था यार सेवाग and गांगुली, the
Ganguly.
platform that they set, और फिर तू mid innings में देखेगा यार we weren't in a good position and
Mm.
वो टाइम पे यार 300 प्लस टारगेट्स इतना इजीली चेज नहीं होता था. 95% ऑफ और मोर ऑफ द टाइम्स इफ
Done.
फर्स्ट इनिंग्स में कोई 300 मारता है वेयर द मैच इज डन, राइट?
And that too in
बट
England,
एग्जैक्टली
not on flat track.
Exactly, exactly. For all the seeming swinging debates that we have, वो टाइम पे मोहम्मद कैफ and युवराज सिंह, two unknown youngsters, carrying that vision of the captain forward and saying कि भाई we'll not give up, and that movement where I think it was Kef who hit it um, to fine leg, if I'm not wrong, or
Mhm.
they
Zay,
stole a couple of
yeah,
runs. You
yeah.
needed two, and then the second run complete hote Yuvraj jumped at the non-strikers end, and Kef was running back to Yuvraj to hug him, and Ganguly from the balcony showing that was the first sign of India saying we are here and this game is equally as much for us as it is for you.
वो
तो यार वो
आजकल
2000s
बहुत
का
फ्रेज
मेमोरी वो
यूज
है.
आजकल वो बहुत फ्रेज यूज होता है ना, ये नया इंडिया है डूसके भी मारेगा. आई थिंक वो गांगुली के एरा में काफी हद तक क्रिकेट में स्टार्ट हुआ था.
एग्जैक्टली तो मेरे
वी आर
को
नॉट
यार
लेस.
प्री प्री 2010 memory बोलेगा, a single memory बोलेगा तो that would be it. Obviously there were a lot of other things, but yeah, for the weight of emotions that it held. What about you?
There are many. Obviously, this is one of it. Then India Pakistan World Cup 2003 World Cup century. Like never seen before aggression, the way Sachin batted that day with cramps. Both Sachin and Sehwag, the way they started off. I mean, that's historic. Like no, especially it makes it sweet because it was versus Pakistan. Like all of them, Wasim Akram, Waqar Younis, Shoaib Akhtar, were any nightmare. Like if you're facing them, such brutal fast bowlers and taking them head on and going for that 270 target. 270 and in such a game is such a high pressure target to chase. It just looked very easy while they did it. And you may remember like after Sachin's wicket fell, that total did look a bit far away. But yeah, again Yuvraj and Dravid pulled that for us. That would be one. And if I would pick another one, that would be the 2008 fourth Test match. Like after all those controversies in that Border Gavaskar tour that we had, like the umpiring debacle and the Monkey Gate
Monkey Gate
scandals.
incident, yes.
Yeah. So after that, that victory was something that was and Ishan Sharma troubling Ponting. That was just unforgettable in that match. That was crazy.
Yeah, man, that spell was lethal. Yeah.
9 overs.
I'm glad you brought up the Border Gavaskar Trophy. We are around the start of the trophy now. We'll come to that, but the uh, the post 2000 era, if you ask me, um, I don't know, man. There are two, three memories. I don't know what to say because we obviously won two ICC trophies under MS Dhoni, so that was iconic.
My favorite
But
MS Dhoni.
yeah, but that's all. So I will go for. I'll have a certain bias because that's my personal memory. Uh, it was the Tri Series in Australia. Uh, that 183 knock of Virat against Sri Lanka, right?
Mhm.
Where he took apart Malinga. I think we had
Malinga.
to, yeah, I think we had to chase about 310, 320 odd in
40
30,
overs.
40 overs or
Yeah.
something, and this guy did it single-handedly in 37 overs. That was, I mean, primarily from an individualistic standpoint, the birth of Virat Kohli into Indian cricket and the talent that
Yeah.
he showcased to the world. And if I have to say, from then on to now, he's played a major role in taking Indian cricket forward. So, but yeah, that's a pretty personal bias. But another one also involves him, his debut captaincy, test captaincy, where Dhoni resigned in the middle of BGT again. And the next match, I think it was the third or the fourth match of the series, and Australia had set up about 380 odd as a target in the
Mm.
fourth innings to chase. And Kohli comes out to the team and says, "We are not going for a draw. We
Adelaide.
are going for the win." And
Yeah.
he scored about 140 or something, and we lost it by about 30 or 40 odd runs. It was
Yeah.
that close. I don't remember the
I think it
exact.
was closer, not even 30. It was even closer. He scored two
Yeah,
centuries winning in that match.
yeah. So I mean, again, that was from what Dada had started, and from what all the way from Dhoni to Kohli had established, and wanted to take it forward, was something that I could never forget. Yeah,
Great. Mine would be like of course 2011 World Cup, 2013, not Champions Trophy so much, but 2011 World Cup, the dominance we showed through that entire tournament. It was at home even then, but with such high pressure again. And it made it even more special because it was Sachin's last World Cup and he got what
yeah,
he wanted. Like entire team or country uniting to win it for Sachin. That was really special. And I idolized Sachin Tendulkar. So that was the perfect end for his. It was not his, he didn't retire after that, but still, like it was a highest moment of his career. That if you could put it that when he scored two centuries also in that tournament. So, and that would be 4 year cricket and Test cricket. If we see like all those crazy matches when Virat Kohli was captain, the like overseas. After 2010 is really when under MS Dhoni's captaincy and Kohli's captaincy where we started winning overseas as well, be it England or in Australia. So we lost as well again. We lost 4-0 and 5-0 in 1 year, I think, back to back in England and Australia. But post that, it's been really, there's always been a good fight that has been there. And special mentions to the GABA test, like in the Madagascar, with the tour that we had in 2021. So that was memorable.
yeah. I think, yeah, BGT as a series, the rivalry that has kind of evolved deserves a separate episode in it,
Yeah.
uh, in itself. Uh, ठीक है, तो here we are. We've seen what Indian cricket has been through, and you know the highs and lows, who's been contributing. Actually तूने वर्ल्ड कप मेंशन किया यार, 2019 का वर्ल्ड कप पे भी एक सीरीज
Do
मेरे
go
को
on.
करना था यार। उसपे वो पारो को भी बुलाते हैं यार,
Done,
उसको
done.
फाइनल्स के बारे में बात करने बोलते हैं, पर ठीक है। दैट्स but exceptional campaign, man. I cannot. It's been very difficult for me to speak about it or write about it. There's been a lot of people who've come and asked me. I think you yourself also asked me, ki, uh, you know, uh, uh, Virat retired from captaincy. I did not say anything about it. Then the entire
Uh-huh.
RCB thing, and then the 2019 World Cup, or even the World Cup that we won, the T20 World Cup that we won. But man, that campaign was something spectacular, man. And Rohit has to be kind of
Yeah.
mentioned over here for the leadership that he, had across the campaign, and not only that, the lead up to that campaign and the way they kind of bounced back from that loss to come back and win
Especially
the.
the way he batted against Australia. Like he took them head on and didn't repeat what he did in 23. But, I don't know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but it takes a lot of guts. I mean, imagine the ghosts of the final
Virat.
that would have been playing in his mind, but
Yeah.
the approach was still that we need to go for it. This is the best way that we can kind of get what we fell short of the previous year. And again, for me, it was such a fairy tale ending for Virat's international T20 career that the poor guy had been struggling up to the final, not living up to his standards, and the rest of the team carrying the team through until the final. Questions being asked by you know uh,
Continue
legendary
to be
cricketers.
asked.
I don't exactly. I don't want
Yeah.
to name them, but there were a lot of reels which kind of emphasized on that one moment where before he took strike, he was sitting down with his bat on the crease and he kneeling down and having just a moment for himself. There's a lot of things that were
Hmm.
spoken about that moment, but what a redemption, man! And these two people, regardless of what happened in the recent New Zealand series or how long we will see them playing the other two formats for the country, um, uh, there's a lot of credit that has to go to these two individuals and the rest of the team. Obviously, there have been a lot of heroes that have come up. The youngsters who are coming up are phenomenal, and उस पे भी बात करना है कि यार where do we see the team going forward. But just to take a moment and say it's been a privilege to start that journey as a kid, uh,
Hmm.
knowing that this is how the game is played, uh, to seeing where we are today, to seeing how we influence the game, the economy, the ecosystem that has been evolved, has been fantastic. And this game doesn't kind of uh, stop surprising me and doesn't stop giving me, and I think you and millions of others, the joy, the sorrow, the whole roller coaster of emotion that it offers, and the story that it brings about.
कि-
Spectacular.
कितना
Yeah.
भी बोले ना लाइक क्रिकेट ओवरडोज हो गया है या बहुत ज्यादा क्रिकेट खेल रहे हैं, वी आर ऑलवेज, हमारे फोन में क्रिक बस चालू ही रहता है स्कोर ट्रैक करने के लिए, लाइक वी नेवर गेट इनफ ऑफ इट। कितना भी क्रिकेट चालू रहे, देखते रहते हैं
हाँ
कुछ ना
यार,
कुछ।
हाँ यार, तो बात करने को इतना चीज था तो कहीं कुछ प्लेटफॉर्म मेरे को तो बस बात करने का है यार, तो मैं बोला यार चलो ये शुरू करते हैं। अकेला करता था, अच्छा लगता था, बट देन ऑब्वियसली द पास्ट 1 year we've had personal milestones that we've kind of been through, you, me, and
यस,
all the
सो मेनी अदर्स।
yeah, so many others. But it's good that finally we can do it as a conversational format जहाँ पे हम exchange कर सकते हैं ideas और we can put in our own opinions and move forward. तो क्या दिखता है यार? Where do we stand now uh, with the multiple formats, with players, with the entire ecosystem on how do you see this going forward?
Yet, like I told, obviously there is a overdose that's happening. Like there's a lot of cricket that's being played. That's one fact that I think is real. कितना भी deny करें, every other day, like एक week खत्म होता है तो मैं India is playing another series. So that overdose is there. And all this talk about taking cricket global, like I think that's not at all happening. It's the concentration of the powers is completely predominantly with India, but I think Australia and England to an extent. तो कैसे लेके जाओगे गेम्स को, तो मतलब तुम लोग यू आर स्टार्टिंग प्लेइंग टूर्नामेंट्स इन यूएस, वर्ल्ड कप इन यूएस एक्सेट्रा, बट इज दैट रियली स्प्रेडिंग द गेम और मेकिंग इट ग्लोबल? पता नहीं, मतलब टू बी ऑनेस्ट तेरा क्या व्यूज है इस पे?
यार इस पे मैं थोड़ा डिफर करेगा, बिकॉज तू अगर देखेगा, there are two things to it, right? यार global लेके जाना है, it's not like तू लेके गया, the public has to accept that first, and
Yeah,
then there are multiple. Cricket at the end of the day is business, right? For us it's a game, but to make it feasible at that extent you need a business ecosystem, you need stakeholders to be involved, who can see the value behind kind of supporting such an ecosystem and taking the game forward, right? uh, in that regard, I would say that both the ICC and the BCCI, because we primarily run the ICC, if I can call it like that. It may be a bit controversial, but it's true. Uh,
it's true. That's why, like most I would say, like India has that responsibility with the position it holds. It is
yeah,
blocking a lot of countries, I feel, from coming up. And you can easily, like football, there are how many teams that go into a World Cup? And versus cricket,
but that's what
yeah,
I'm getting to, right? You check it how the ecosystem has evolved for football versus how it's evolved for cricket. We were just discussing here until 2008 is when the IPL was launched, right? And that
right.
again is a platform that was given by India to the world, right?
Mm.
IPL is entering, you know, how many years? I don't know,
16.
2000, yeah, 16 years of IPL now, right? IPL is just a league. Now, let me tell you how that has evolved. First, I'll come to the international stage and then to the domestic stage and connect it to what my opinions are on how it's helped in the expansion of the game, right? Um, Today, क्या 2003 World Cup, 2007 World Cup, and the likes, it was not much. Actually, I would say that was more closed यार. तेरे पास टॉप 6 या 7 टीम्स ही compete करता था. I can name it on
Right.
my fingers. It's Australia was pretty dominant, the team to beat. Then you have, say, probably West Indies. Their kind of dominance reduced as the
2000s. Yeah.
time went by. But yeah, so I mean, the primary teams were Australia, West Indies, New Zealand, South Africa, India, Pakistan, um, and that's it, right? These were, yeah, and England, right? These were the major test playing nations. Bangladesh was still considered as a minnow.
Mino,
Okay, and you had Zimbabwe who used to play some tours, and then
mm,
you had countries like Canada, USA, and Oman
Namibia.
making just, yeah,
Yeah.
Namibia, Netherlands. They are just making World Cup appearances. There are
Right.
no bilateral series, or these players don't get exposure unless and until they play the other teams at this global stage. So the so-called ICC events, right? Now, what happened? ICC brought in a structured approach to the game, saying they brought in ICC qualifiers, right? Wherein they brought in a system whereby जैसा अपना भी WTC है जो डिसाइड करता है टॉप 2 टेस्ट टीम्स फाइनल खेलेगा. सिमिलरली फॉर द लिमिटेड ओवर्स हमको ज्यादा आइडिया नहीं है क्योंकि इंडिया मोर ऑफन देन नॉट इज एन ऑटोमेटिक क्वालिफायर फॉर ऑल द
Every
आईसीसी
event.
इवेंट्स.
Yeah.
बट तू थोड़ा डीपर डिग करेगा तो तू देखेगा
Mm,
यार, ये जो एसोसिएट नेशंस है, ये एसोसिएट नेशंस को बहुत गेम्स खिलाया है फर्स्ट अमंग्स देमसेल्व्स. तो देख
mhm.
यार, हांगकांग, जर्मनी, नेदरलैंड, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ कंट्रीज इन द यूरोपियन, आयरलैंड यार, तो उनका एवोल्यूशन देख. अफगानिस्तान, उनका एवोल्यूशन देख गेम में उनका.
अफगानिस्तान तो हाँ एक ब्रेक थ्रू
एग्जैक्टली,
डिस्कवरी है. Mm,
Exactly. तो ये लोग ने first they played against each other, right? And then as you saw again, as I said, it takes time. तो तेरे को जैसे ही थोड़े बहुत stakeholders invest करने लगे, I would say
mm,
that the BCCI and the ICC have taken ownership and have driven bilateral series with these full member nations, so that those players can get exposure playing against top sides. ठीक है. So this is happening on the international level. I take another minute to explain how this has filtered down into the leagues that are there, right? अभी IPL तू देखेगा 2008 से लेके 11-12 until the time I think Pakistani players were also allowed to play
mm.
the league.
आई थिंक
Uh,
8 के बाद बंद, फर्स्ट ईयर में थे वो लोग, 9 से बंद हो गया, 9 के बाद बंद हो जाता.
Exactly. But I think the major shift also happened after India won the 2011 World Cup. That was also
Yeah.
needed for India to, kind of have that, uh, I won't say dominance, but that influence on the game and a lot more control on the game to push the agenda to a global scale.
Yeah.
देख क्या फर्स्ट डेकेड ऑफ द आईपीएल में जो टीम ओनर्स एंड द फर्म्स दैट आर investing in this ecosystem are buying the big names. Okay, but initiatives that were taken by teams like Mumbai Indians and uh, Kolkata Knight Riders, right? ये लोग ने क्या किया? ये लोग ने कैरिबियन प्रीमियर लीग में जाके उधर टीम्स
Mm.
बाई किया.
I think even Africa में. Yeah.
Africa came much later. So I'm just
Yeah.
trying to go structurally कि यार investment has happened, that ownership has happened in expanding.
Mm,
उधर से तेरे को talent unearth हुआ. So you have this new generation of Afghani players, Rashid Khan, Rahmanullah
mm.
Gurbaz, Noor Ahmad, Hazmatullah Omarzai. These people are doing what probably we Indians did back in the early 1990s. Afghanistan are qualified for the World Cup semi-finals this
Understand.
year. Yeah? That was a crazy campaign. वो ग्लेन मैक्सवेल अगर 200 नहीं मारता, but that was
वही.
extraordinary. वो नहीं
हाँ.
होता तो यार अफगानिस्तान could have been in the finals यार. think
Yeah.
about what story that is. That is not a result of one campaign going good. That is a result of, you know,
A lot of
the
effort.
teams
Yeah.
exactly. And वो सेंटर होल्ड इंडिया में ही आया है इज व्हाट आई वुड लाइक टू बिलीव एंड एज यू सेड अगेन ऐसे T20 लीग जब अनाउंस हुआ यार आई थिंक देर आर 9 teams and 7 or 8 of those teams are owned by IPL owners,
Mm.
right? Of course there is a commercial incentive to them in making these investments globally, but the net result of it is also that the game is going global. आज
Yeah.
का तो आईपीएल का जो ऑप्शंस होने वाला है आई थिंक देर आर अबाउट 1400 players who've registered for the auctions and you
And
know
it's good to see an Italian player also, I think. That's
exactly,
right. Yeah.
exactly. So maybe he won't be bought,
Correct.
right? But you look at the
Opportunity.
reach, yeah, you
Yeah.
look at the reach that's happening, right? And for us to compare it to football at this moment would be a incorrect
If food.
metric. But I would say that yes, the model has to be inspired from it, and I think it
Yeah.
is heading on that. वो जो यार हार्दिक पांड्या का लास्ट ईयर का डील फ्रॉम गुजरात टाइटंस टू मुंबई इंडियंस was the
Mm.
first example in cricket of a high value
Negotiation.
transaction.
Yeah.
Exactly, transaction that happened from one team to another outside of the auction dynamics.
Right.
So you are going to see a lot of these players being bought, sold, loaned out to different franchises. And I've heard ये सुनील नारायण और आंद्रे रसल का एग्जांपल ले लें, ठीक है? These two are flagship players for KKR.
Okay.
So I've heard that there are contracts that are happening between players and franchisees at the overall level, not with
Mm.
Mumbai Indians or KKR as a whole, but say KKR as a group entity saying, "Yeah, I will retain you, say for $500,000, just to give you an
Mm.
example, but you are going to be contracted to me for 200 of your 365 playing days,
Mm.
okay? And in that, you are going to be playing for the IPL, the SA
Caribbean
T20,
Premier
or
League.
the Caribbean League,
Mhm.
wherever I have a presence. I'm going to take you there." So the
Mm.
brand is building. You have a core that you retain. Um, and that way the visibility is also being driven by your heroes playing in your home turf, and the brand is taking it forward. Yeah, so I would say that it is happening. But rather I would say yeah, it's a great opportunity for people like us also to jump on the bandwagon, look at those minor opportunities where we can invest in and make money out of it. Yeah. It's a great ecosystem. That's one of the reasons.
It's a great point you brought up actually. Like what I was looking at it was from an overall point of view, but there are many more minute details actually that need to be or are taking place which people are not aware of it. So you bringing this up actually will help to a lot of people who reach till here in this podcast and are really listen so long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
With
we could
you,
please snip this out and put only this part.
no, no, I
Talking
think
about
we
how,
should.
yeah,
No, no, I think if we do a bit more research on, who are the stakeholders who are making these investments, and do a bit of market study on, what are the brands that are sponsoring or partnering with these team owners and all of that. I think you can connect and make a story on where the game will evolve. You can do a completely different, I won't say an episode, a series here on
correct.
where the game with numbers, I would say. And
Mm,
I'll tell you, it's a business that today if you invest in at any level of its value chain, right? I'm not saying you and me are not affluent enough to go and buy teams
right.
overall, but this channel also that's starting out, you see a lot of cricketers starting their own YouTube channels. You see Ashwin,
Mhm.
you see
Yes.
AB de Villiers, you see Chika. So there are regional to national to international content creators who are only focused on cricket as a medium. You see,
Right.
all of this is what promotes the ecosystem. इंस्टाग्राम में अगर उसको अगर 1 million कंटेंट क्रिएटर्स मिल गया who are only focusing on the game, who knows यार, Instagram might come and say I will sponsor a, Facebook will
Mm,
come and say I will sponsor an entire tournament in the US, come establish a league over here, yeah, who
it
knows. So
could be
that's how
possible.
the ecosystem develops. मैं तो बोलता हूँ हम लोग को ड्राइव करना चाहिए यार, तू यूएस जा रहा है
सही बात है.
तो कुछ ना कुछ
Why not
let's
करेंगे.
let's be on the lookout for it यार. We understand the
Yes.
dynamics. We should really make money out of it.
And interesting, you spoke about IPL. Don't you think it's a double-edged sword? Like, in one place, when you win the World Cup in 2011, the 2024 World Cup that we won, everything goes to credit goes to IPL for all that. Like, at the same time, if you lose Test cricket, IPL की वजह से ही हारा है. मतलब दोनों तरफ IPL को गाली तो मिलता है या सेलिब्रेट भी करते हैं. What's your take on that?
अबे मैं ना बहुत खुश है कि ये इन्फ्लेक्सिंग पॉइंट पे आया है, मालूम है.
Hmm.
देख, कुछ भी नया चीज अच्छे टाइम में नहीं आता है. इन आवर लाइफ ऑल्सो व्हेन वी हैव टू मूव फ्रॉम वन लेवल टू अनदर, इट्स ओनली थिंग्स दैट वी क्वेश्चन कि यार वेयर आर द गैप्स, व्हाट कैन बी डन better
Hmm.
in our personal lives, with our jobs, with our relationships. Similar thing happens with the game. I'm so happy कि ये inflection point आया है, and it connects back to the point कि तूने भी बोला कि यार there's a lot of cricket being played. अभी today we are talking, it is hardly like a couple of weeks back that we faced that whitewash in the hands of New Zealand.
Was in New
ठीक
Zealand,
है,
yeah.
but already you have three parallel teams representing India. One has just won the T20 series in South Africa.
South Africa.
There is that India A team, but I think 9 out of the 11 players have already played for India, and they are
Hmm.
just not getting that playing 11 opportunity in the senior team because there are just so many slots that you can fill. But they
Yeah.
played a full-fledged India A tour against Australia parallelly, and our senior test team which has just landed in Australia, right? So there are
Yeah.
three parallel teams which are playing different, uh, in different places and different opponents. जो तू बोल रहा है, I think it is justified that it's questioned. There has to be a balance between incentive for the stakeholders and the board and the governing council as a whole and the players, but also uh, on the physical and mental aspect of the players, the fans, and the result that you see, right? But यार मैं तेरे को बोलूं, इसका आंसर भी has beautifully is already beautifully hidden in certain examples. I would just like to point out those examples, and I would
Sure,
love
sure.
for you to expand on that thought. This podcast is getting longer, but this is a really
It's okay.
beautiful
And I
conversation.
didn't anticipate it will go so far, but yeah, we're doing well.
Exactly. मैं ना थोड़ा बैक जाएगा इंग्लैंड का एवोल्यूशन पे. इंग्लैंड, when I think Ben Stokes took up the captaincy of the
Great.
white ball format, the
Yeah.
the limited overs format, uh, uh, England wasn't in a
Doing
good
great.
place. Exactly. England needed a complete restructuring of their cricket as a whole to come and say, hey, this is how we are going to rebrand ourselves. It wasn't like one or two series losses. It was a structural issue in England cricket that had to be addressed. To देख, the drivers of England's resurgence across the Test and the ODI format कौन रहा है? Ben Stokes.
Yeah.
ठीक है.
Then तभी वो baseball came to life. That's when baseball
Yes,
came to life. Yes.
ठीक है, but I'm saying across formats. ठीक है.
Yeah.
Ben Stokes is only, I think I will say is the only player, but is amongst the few who has been, this is a very important point, is amongst the few who has been at the center of England's resurgence across formats. But if I have to pick up specific formats, भाई T20 में Ben Stokes, Sam Curran, Liam
Hmm.
Livingstone, Josh Butler. But these are not the same names that you see England's
In Test
resurgence
cricket.
in the
Yeah.
Test cricket.
Yes.
भाई Fab Four में Joe Root has been, अगर तू पिछला 3 या 4 साल का रिकॉर्ड देखेगा,
इसका
जो रूट
resurgence
एग्जैक्टली इस
boom
वो
किया उसने
तीनों लोग
literally.
का, विराट, विलियमसन
Steve
एंड
Smith.
स्मिथ का,
Yeah.
तीनों का जो हंड्रेड्स का जो एग्रीगेशन है in the past 3 years, Joe Root has done more than those three combined together. ठीक है.
And we're not
James
going to like
Anderson.
this. We're not going to like this stat. He's coming very close to Sachin's test record. The most
Exactly,
runs.
but let's see what is happening. James
Right.
Anderson, भाई वो बंदा 42 years में लीडिंग विकेट टेकर रहा है फॉर इंग्लैंड.
And अभी
Even in the
आईपीएल में भी रजिस्टर किया है उसने.
exactly. So, but you see what has happened, right? By people say that it's just a format. It's just Test cricket to ODIs to T20 is just a format. I will say it's a different game altogether. भाई दुनिया में ऐसा
Absolutely.
कौन सा अदर स्पोर्ट है जो स्पोर्ट सेम है लेकिन रूल्स अलग है.
रूल्स अलग है, प्लेइंग स्टाइल अलग है, अडेप्ट करना सबसे डिफिकल्ट है.
एग्जैक्टली. तो तेरे को हर फॉर्मेट के लिए डिफरेंट स्किल सेट चाहिए, डिफरेंट प्रेपरेशन मैकेनिज्म चाहिए, डिफरेंट मेंटालिटी
माइंडसेट.
चाहिए. Even if you can be the greatest in the world, you can be the greatest in the world, but you can't switch between a test to an ODI to a T20
Yeah, that
like
requires
that.
very special skill, and it takes a toll as well. Like when you do
It
this
takes a toll.
on a long run. Yeah, even Ben Stokes, for that example, he had pioneered England cricket at all three formats, but again he had to take a break, suffering due to mental strain out as well. Yeah,
एग्जैक्टली, दे आर ह्यूमंस. यार उन लोग के लिए वो काम है, उन लोग के लिए वो जॉब है.
correct.
आज हम लोग हमारे कॉर्पोरेट जॉब्स में थोड़ा वीक हेक्टिक हो जाता है तो वी फील लाइक टेकिंग अ ब्रेक. दीज गाइस डोंट हैव दैट ऑप्शन. एंड थिंक
Right.
अबाउट इट. तेरे को आज बोलेगा कि यार ये तेरा काइंड ऑफ जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन है, तेरे को ये करना है. कल उठ के तेरे को बोलेगा कि तेरे को चेंज करना है, एंड दिस इज व्हाट यू हैव टू बी ड्राइविंग. इवन इफ यू आर
Yeah,
डूइंग इट इन द सेम इंडस्ट्री, there is obviously a different skill sets that's required to drive a certain other role for you, a function for you. But you are
right.
asking Virat Kohli to play a 250 not out knock one day, and then you are questioning him for having a 125 or 130 strike rate the other day. And I'm not saying Virat Kohli. I'm even saying, say for example, अपना DSP सिराज ले ले, ठीक है. By the lengths that a bowler has to bowl for
In
a
Test
test,
cricket, yeah,
हाँ, एंड इन ओडीआई इज कम्प्लीटली. भाई हम लोग दादा और ये सब का बात कर रहे हैं, द रिजल्ट्स दैट वी सॉ इन ओवरसीज एंड द रिजल्ट दैट वी सीन, यार ये लोग एक एक महीना पहले जाके कैंप करते थे यार.
And वो
वो
खाली नहीं, मतलब दो सीरीज के बीच में बहुत गैप होता था. मैं जैसे
गैप्स
बोल
होता
रहा हूँ,
था.
ऐसे नहीं कि अभी आज न्यूजीलैंड टूर खत्म हुआ, 2 दिन में साउथ अफ्रीका स्टार्ट हो रहा है. तो दिस वाज नॉट देयर. एंड ऐसे नहीं है कि पूरा का पूरा नया टीम है. देयर आर फ्यू प्लेयर्स हु आर प्लेइंग द न्यूजीलैंड सीरीज मूविंग इनटू द नेक्स्ट सीरीज. लाइक यू मेंशनड, देयर आर प्लेयर्स प्लेइंग अक्रॉस फॉर्मेट्स. So for them, it's the most difficult. And it's again debatable whether there should be three separate teams, but I won't agree to that. There are across the formats, there are players who can have the skill set to play all the three formats, and they should continue to play. But वहाँ पे calendar बहुत बड़ा टोल लेवल.
एग्जैक्टली ना यार, तो वो बैलेंस तो कैसा एस्टेब्लिश करेगा. इंडिया में भी वो एग्जांपल्स है. अब तो चल इंडिया में आने के पहले मैं बोलता हूँ, वी वर टॉकिंग अबाउट फैब फोर. केन विलियमसन कितना तेरा 3 फॉर्मेट क्रिकेट खेला है यार पिछले 3-4 साल में न्यूजीलैंड के लिए.
नहीं कुछ
वो
मतलब
ऑलरेडी
केन विलियमसन.
इंजरी
हाँ,
रिटर्न है. ठीक है. स्टीव
केन
स्मिथ.
विलियमसन. केन विलियमसन whatever great player, but यार इंडिया के अगेंस्ट स्पेशल फिटनेस है उसको. इंडिया के अगेंस्ट आते ही सारा फॉर्म में आ
मैं
जाते
यार, मेरे
थे.
को यार न्यूजीलैंड और ऑस्ट्रेलिया अगेंस्ट इंडिया एज ए टीम ही बात नहीं करना है, वो एक अलग
हाँ,
बात है. बट तू देख यार, केन विलियमसन फाउंड हिज नीश. ठीक है, दैट्स अ डिफरेंट थिंग दैट poor guy has been struggling with injury, so he's been on and off.
yeah.
Steve Smith, you look at the resurgence of Steve Smith as a player, he realized that T20 probably doesn't suit his way of playing. तू जैसे बोल रहा है स्किल रहेगा, if he spends time, probably he's too
He
good a
can get
player
better.
to not adapt to
Yeah.
it. यार, nobody is doubting that. But time, as you said, the mental,
Mm.
the pressure, the physical and mental pressure that the body and the mind takes to adapt to it is not easy. ठीक है. तो वो भाई वो पिछला दो उस्मान ख्वाजा, लुक एट ऑल, चेतेश्वर पुजारा, दैट्स व्हाट आई वाज गेटिंग टू इन इंडिया.
Mm.
चेतेश्वर पुजारा, बंदे को कमाने का मोटिव नहीं रहेगा क्या यार. टेस्ट
Covered
क्रिकेट
in it.
एज एन इंसेंटिव
Mm.
हैज नॉट grown as much as your T20 format has now.
Yeah.
But Banda knew his strengths. He knew कि if I focus on this aspect of my game, I am going to be I won't call indispensable, but he was.
He
Uh,
can survive maybe for a longer period of time that he did in one format rather than playing all three and fizzling out quite early.
exactly. So to kind of uh, come at where you are also saying, and even I've been, मैं खुद से भी बैठता हूँ, मैं सोचता हूँ यार, तू कितना देख, दो चीजें हैं भाई इधर, 2 दिन बाद टूर शुरू होता है, तेरे को और मेरे को लगता है कि यार
इंडिया जीतेगा.
और नहीं नहीं, देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ क्रिकेट हैपनिंग, बट
Yeah,
तू खुद बोला कि क्रिक बस तो शुरू रहता ही है.
exactly.
2 दिन पहले संजू सैमसन और तिलक वर्मा ने 286 मारा है साउथ अफ्रीका के अगेंस्ट. भले तेरे को और मेरे को देखने का टाइम नहीं मिला रहेगा, अपन हाइलाइट्स तो देखा रहेगा या कुछ, तो हमको
Yes.
इच्छा तो रहेगा कि यार क्या कर दिया ऐसा.
ऐसा क्या हो गया मतलब इतना कहाँ से? Yeah.
सो व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू गेट टू इज, अगर तू कंजम्पशन कैपेसिटी या एपिटाइट देखेगा को, इफ यू लुक एट क्रिकेट एज अ प्रोडक्ट और अ कमोडिटी, तो यार मार्केट तो बहुत बड़ा है. ये तीनों फॉर्मेट्स पैरेलली चलेगा तो भी कंज्यूम करने के लिए. फर्स्ट लेट्स अग्री टू दैट.
Absolutely. And that's where all the talk about having two IPLs also comes in, right? Like summer IPL and mid two IPLs in a year. So
Yeah, but
tabhi,
I don't think that is going to.
I'm saying
Yeah,
since there is a consumption capacity is where the talk also comes out. Like otherwise there would
absolutely,
be no scope of that even coming out as an idea, right?
exactly.
There's a market available for it.
There's obviously India अगर 365 days a year खेलेगा, तो there will be viewership across those
Correct.
365 days.
Yeah.
So going by that logic, and I'm talking as a pure capitalist, I'm not talking as a fan of the game here. I'm
Mhm.
saying, going by that logic, it becomes rational or practical enough to answer the question in a manner ki, how do I make it feasible for India as a national team to play
As much
almost
as
every day
possible.
of the year.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right? Now, the second, if now, how do I make it possible? The resources are there. There are enough
Mm.
and more people to come be a part of that ecosystem because, as we said, the market is there. Okay.
Right.
But now to answer the second question, right? मतलब आंसर मतलब क्या, ये मैं सोच रहा था यार काफी टाइम से कि जैसे तू बोल रहा है, स्किल सेट तो है
Mm.
फॉर,
Multiple playing multiple formats.
exactly, for at least for, I we can name 6 or 7 players on the top of our head who are currently part of the Indian sector who can play all 3 formats of the game. ठीक है, बट अगेन उसको एक इंसान जैसे भी देखना है, उसको इट्स हिज जॉब एट द एंड ऑफ द
Correct.
डे,
Mm.
right? So, and again, for you as the stakeholder of the game also, you want those players to last longer. You don't want them to break down every now and then.
Yes.
You are going to have injuries यार. पिछला टाइम पे तेरा सचिन और दादा के एरा में एनसीए तो किसी को मालूम ही नहीं था, रिहैब तो
Mm.
वर्ड ही किसी को मालूम नहीं था, क्योंकि एज यू सेड देयर आर ब्रेक्स, देयर आर गैप्स,
वो
एंड द
पूरा इकोसिस्टम
इंटेंसिटी हैज
एग्जिस्ट ही
नॉट.
नहीं करता था जो अभी कर रहा
एग्जैक्टली.
है.
आज वो
जरूरत भी नहीं
एक
था आई वुड से. हाँ.
जरूरत भी नहीं था, आज वो इंटेंसिटी है, आज वो प्रोपेंसिटी टू कंज्यूम है, वो इकोसिस्टम को डेवलप करने का रिसोर्सेस भी है. तो
Right.
गोइंग बाय ऑल ऑफ दैट, as much as I would want to see a Bumrah, Pant, Jaiswal, and all these guys to see them play in all 3 formats, but I would say that, and now I'm talking as a balance between a cricket fan and as a capitalist who
Capitalist.
is trying to build the ecosystem and take the reach of the game, as you said. भाई
Mm.
देख, गेम बढ़ाना है तो यूएसए और ओमान को खिला के गेम नहीं बढ़ा सकता.
नहीं बढ़
यूएसए और
सकता.
इंडिया जब खेलेगा तभी गेम बढ़ेगा.
Exactly.
तो तेरे को वो भी अकोमोडेट करना पड़ेगा शेड्यूल में. तो
हाँ.
going by all of that, I would say that the most viable approach, and ये Joe Root, Steve Smith, Cheteshwar Pujara, Usman Khwaja, all these top players who've kind of found a niche in one, or James Anderson, Stuart Broad, these people who've found a niche in 1 or 2 formats, goes to point out, you like it or not, goes to point out that there are going to be specialized teams and specialized players for specialized formats going on. There might
Correct.
be a
Correct.
few marquee players where
Mm.
BCCI will also want them to represent the
In
team
all
as
three
much as
formats.
possible,
Yeah.
and your league owners will also say कि भाई ये मेरे लिए मार्की है, जैसे बुमराह ले
Mm.
ले, पंथ ले ले. These guys are
Yes.
having entertainment value. These guys
Correct.
are having more than the skill, they attract the crowd.
Yeah.
But how do you manage their workload is something that has to be answered. But I think overall तू देखेगा जो अपना T20 का setup है अभी और जो अपना test setup है, I think that's how it's going to look like. You'll have a completely different identity to one format of the game and completely different identity to other format just to allow the consumers to consume that appetite while
Mm.
allowing for the players to also elongate their careers. That's where I come from here.
Yeah. But where do you see, like, do you think in this multiple format scenario, or first let's get to ODI cricket. Do you see ODI cricket surviving in this battle between T20 and the World Test Championship?
भाई यार ये क्वेश्चन भी मेरे दिमाग में बहुत आया है एंड एज
मैं
अ
पोक कर रहा हूँ बहुत
प्योर
आज.
हाँ अ प्योर लवर ऑफ द गेम ना मेरे को ओडीआई क्रिकेट बहुत पसंद है
हाँ.
बहुत एंड आई थिंक yes test cricket obviously is lovely to watch and especially when you have those close games and as you
Mm.
mentioned under Virat Kohli test cricket was the deal
Epic.
to watch
Yeah.
but let's also factor in कि हमारे पास भी ज्यादा टाइम नहीं है उतना गेम को फॉलो करने को मतलब बॉल बाय बॉल आई एम सेइंग तो
Right.
इन दैट सिनेरियो स्ट्रैटेजी वर्सेस एंटरटेनमेंट का बैलेंस अगर एक फॉर्मेट ऑफर करता है तो वो ओडीआई ऑफर करते हैं
Mm.
because T20 is pure entertainment. There is strategy involved, and I mean there
But
are
it's
so many
too
nuances.
quick. It's too quick. Make or break,
Too quick,
basically. Yeah.
too quick. And for someone who's grown up watching that ups and downs of how the innings progression
Right.
happens in a ODI game, भाई विराट कोहली ने अपना नाम ओडीआई में बनाया और उसने
Our,
कैसा बनाया वो चेस मास्टर या वो जो भी उसको नाम दिया
mm,
वो कैसा भाई he learned to pace the game
innings.
he
Mm.
learned to pace the innings और वो जो एक एस्पेक्ट होता है ना वो प्योर ब्रेड लवर्स ऑफ द गेम एंड आई एम श्योर यू एग्री टू इट वो भाई वो बहुत प्यारा लगता है देखने को कि वो 27-28 ओवर व्हेन नथिंग इज हैपनिंग इन द गेम इज जस्ट अ स्टेलमेंट ऑल दीज पीपल हु आर जस्ट वाचिंग इट फॉर द एंटरटेनमेंट वैल्यू विल बी लाइक अरे यार कुछ चल नहीं रहा है
कुछ नहीं
बंद
हो
कर
रहा है.
ठीक है बट तू देख वो जो वंस को टूस में बदलते थे ये धोनी और कोहली
वो खाली नहीं,
एंड
like when opposition team is actually taking wickets, pressure पूरा तेरे पे, गेम को थोड़ा स्लो डाउन करना,
स्लो
innings को
डाउन
बिल्ड
करना है
करना, and then लास्ट
हाँ
में
यार
just kill it.
इसमें मेरे को
वो एक.
एग्जैक्टली और इसमें मेरे को वो जो तेरे पास 5 बॉलर्स है 10 ओवर फॉर ईच बॉलर तू
हम्म.
कैसा वो रोटेट करता है इन द मिडल
हाँ.
भाई इसमें मैं रोहित को बहुत तारीफ लॉट ऑफ understated thing in that 23 World Cup campaign also. Why it was so beautiful is not only because of how we approached it in the batting, but Rohit ka strategy of rotating the bowlers
Bowlers.
in that middle over period was what made it interesting too. So, yeah, to answer your question, I don't know whether ODI will survive. It's at a very critical stage, but
Yeah.
would I want it to? भाई यार ऐसा कुछ आना चाहिए ये WTC जैसा some sort of an incentive for that niche of players to come by. There is Test cricket, and I think Test cricket isn't safe, and that's a lovely job that ICC has done to reignite um, that passion for
Competitiveness. Yeah.
yeah, and I think
Mm.
England has to also to be given credit that baseball thing and that approach that they brought
Mm.
about. Maybe it's not serving them best, but यार वो मजा तो शुरू हुआ है देखने को एंड उसमें तेरा तीनों बोर्ड्स ने बहुत कंट्रीब्यूट किया है इंडिया बिकॉज ऑफ largely because of the fact that we've started winning overseas and that dominance that started with Kohli's captaincy and we've yet to see how Rohit is to take that forward
Yeah.
and that exactly वो जो दो BGT का सीरीज था भाई it was so crucial for Test cricket as a format also to be revived कि वो 36 all out से लेके come back and win that series and then again replicate that back in sorry that was in 21 but in
Yeah.
2018 and all
Mm.
of that and then England bringing in this style of play it had to be these three big boys who had to contribute towards the revival of that format तो यार ODI में भी तू क्या बोलता है यार मतलब
नहीं, वो
how is it
जैसे तूने बोला, something needs to come up for ODI cricket. Like, after 2000s, like style of play certainly changed. It was earlier very defensive. All of the players, like test matches made, no one had that killing instinct except from some dominant teams like Australia who always wanted to get better wins. Then after this period, like India always played safe. Overseas they are the draw करते हैं, जीत नहीं सकते तो draw करते हैं. But एक era आया suddenly, like when the Sehwags, Gilchrist, Hayden, these people started coming in, and then aggressive batting really started. Like everyone went for the kill, starting say be aggressive and see the ball, hit the ball. That kind of approach came in. But that somewhere boomed. I can say gave birth to the T20 cricket. Gave birth to T20 cricket, and it started getting adapted in Test cricket also with baseball and all. But somewhere ODI cricket felt left behind at least somewhere. T20 and Test cricket are booming with whatever changes happened to cricket post 2000, but somewhere ODI cricket is being left behind and is falling behind a lot. That also brings, and it's widely accepted as well. Like even if you see Sachin Tendulkar, he's proposed two innings within a day in an ODI match, like 20 overs split, 80 overs instead of 100, but having two innings in the same day. So something needs to be done for sure. Like if it continues this way, it won't be soon when we see the last of ODIs as well. But yeah, let's hope because it's a beautiful game. All the World Cups till now have been 50 overs. Like the ones we remember. T20 तो बहुत सारे आ गए, but हमको कितना याद है उसमें से? 50 ओवर मैचेस बहुत सारे याद है. लाइक यू सेड अप्स एंड डाउन्स जो होते हैं उसमें उतना T20 में इतना क्रिकेट होता नहीं है.
हाँ यार, I mean, it could go either way, and we could also end up being this generation where मेरे टाइम पे ये होता था और अभी ये हो रहा है करके भी एक
अरे
हो
इस
सकता
पे
है.
I always think, some days while we're thinking about cricket, yeah, India played badly and I think Kohli doesn't deserve to be in the team. Rahul doesn't deserve to be. We're slowly turning into a father's son. Right?
Yeah, man.
पहले हम लोग को जब we used to watch cricket and फादर सिस्टर से यार इंडिया की बहुत खराब खेल रहा था, तो गुस्सा आता था. नहीं, ऑप्टिमिस्टिक इंडिया जीतेगा जीतेगा. बट अभी स्लोली हम लोग भी रियलाइज कर रहे हैं और यही चीज वापस कमेंट कर रहे हैं. तो we are
वही
slowly.
मैं बोल रहा हूँ. So I think I mean, I don't know, as you said, I'm in the same boat as you. अगर ODI revive होता है, then nothing like it. But maybe we are on the wrong side of the spectrum. Maybe we are too attached to that format because that's what we grew up with and that's what has influenced the game for us, right? And the game's identity for us. But again, जैसे हम लोग बात किया, by the game or anything in life, especially when it comes to brands and businesses, evolve what the market for it wants to have. And as you said, the consumers for the game are more going to be the generation after us.
Correct.
Because they are going to have more time in their hands and more propensity to consume in that ecosystem. So the stakeholders who are going to be designing the future of the game are going to have them at the center stage and not people like us.
Correct.
So उन लोग के लिए they are growing up watching T20 यार. They are growing up watching T20. They want quick action, right? They want the game. For them, the game never was intended to go on for 9 hours a day, right? 11 hours a day. It is 4.5 hours with the innings break in between. They are learning the game with that. So maybe we are in the wrong end of the spectrum, and ODI might probably die its natural death.
It's eventually being phased out also, is what we feel. Like we see much lesser number of series that we are seeing as ODI. It's just H10 T20s that we see now, majorly, but there are one-offs. But
yeah, I think, and then there have been conversations with regards to it. I've listened to a few podcasts where there have been ex-cricket players or even cricket analysts and experts who've spoken about this, and they say the same thing, right? In the sense that probably it will evolve to an extent where, and that's what is happening right now. Abhi hamara next ODI World Cup is in 27. So you are going to see bilateral ODI series only 1 year in the lead up to the World Cup, right? And then you'll see उसका कितना viewership आ रहा है, वो कितना तेरा दूसरा leagues को impact कर रहा है. If you see it's declining, then they might just pull the plug, यार. You never know. 32 or 30, 34, 36 might
Mm.
then be the last ODI World Cup that you can see. I mean, you don't know, right? It's just
Right.
going to, one thing is going to lead to another, but it obviously is not headed in a direction where you can see
And
that it's going to be revived.
like how you put it as well, if you look at it as a capitalistic point of view, cricket is going to be introduced into the Olympics as well going forward, the T20 format. So there is a demand for that. Then why not? Why won't they promote only that format going forward and let go realize natural better?
Bhai, as we are talking about the T20 format, in Dubai they've been playing the T10 format for a while.
Correct. Yeah.
England launched 100 about 2 years back. So 100 ball tournament. So यार
Mhm.
T20 भी evolve हो रहा है already. So I think we are on the other side of the game is what I would say. And as fans of the game, while we would want the revival, in my opinion, as a way forward, I think we should be prepared for the fact that this is the natural evolution that the game is taking, and that's what will give you the reach and the monetary incentive for the game to be as big as football one day. Yeah. But that I am definitely sure of. Cricket as a whole uh, is not even 20% of its revenue potential that it can generate in the entire ecosystem.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not even 20%. Yeah, think about it. And
I'll,
मैं एक सिंपल मैं एक इसराइल राइट सो इसराइल और मैं
Mhm.
भी एक बात करते थे एक सिंपल सा स्टैट है भाई एब्सोल्यूट नंबर्स में तो देखेगा तो ऑब्वियसली फुटबॉल इज वे
Mhm.
ahead than where cricket is in regards to monetary terms,
Monitoring.
but add another dimension to it. The number of countries that play football at the highest competitive level vis-a-vis the revenue that it generates and the number of countries that cricket is being played at the most competitive level and the revenue it generates, cricket is
Much
higher
higher.
than football. Yeah,
Yeah.
that shows the potential that it has for the game to
Mm.
dig deep.
Yes. So I think let's move on from this. Two topics before we head to the border Gavaskar, like, or we can just select our teams. But two topics I'd like to discuss on would be one is where do you see one controversial topic first? What do you think? Why is BCCI so hesitant on getting the what do you say hotspot into the technology aspect of cricket? Like they have the ultra edge. They were against DRS also for quite a long point of time. But finally, they got that ultra edge and Hawkeye, etc. But why are they still hesitant on soft spot?
That's a good question. Why are they hesitant on bringing hotspot back, right?
Yeah. It's I think
Uh,
even if you look at all the other series, Ashes have it. All it's there everywhere else, but it's just India that pushes back, and wherever India plays, there's no hotspot that's sort of that series.
yeah, man, I don't know. I think I honestly don't have an answer for it. Uh, I have been debating on why is there an umpire's call in the first place. Either it's out or not out, and if you have a review system, then you know if it's hitting the stumps, then you give it out. If it's not hitting the stumps,
on
then
on that, there was a beautiful. I don't remember whether it was Sunil Gavaskar or someone, Kevin Peterson, but I don't remember the name. But he mentioned the stump is so much. So there's a 0.25% your ball is going to hit here or here, right? So when it says umpire's call, you're you're having a human equation in that, human angle to that. Like when you say if the ball is hitting here as well as out, you're making the stump bigger. Like there are actually five stumps in the picture there when you say umpire's call is out. So that's why there is a human angle to it, stating that there has to be a human call basically, whether to not depend entirely on technology, if I put it simply.
but
Because
yeah,
the margin of error, there is a margin of error with technology, and it's not 100% accurate that the wickets are hitting or no. If all the umpires call start getting out, then it's also the fifth wicket on this side, fourth one near, and one on the off stump as well. It brings two more stumps into the picture.
nahi, I agree to it to an extent. But if I have to look at it from another way, ह्यूमन एरर है करके ही तो वो डीआरएस एज अ टेक्नोलॉजी को लाया है बिकॉज
Correct.
अंपायर्स आर नॉट 100% एक्यूरेट एवरी टाइम करके ही तो डीआरएस को लाया है। तो फिर तू मुझे बोलेगा कि यार व्हाट इज अंपायर्स कॉल? अंपायर्स कॉल इज बेसिकली कि द प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ हिट, समझ अंपायर आउट बोलता है, तो
Mm.
व्हाट इज इट व्हेन इट सेड इट्स अंपायर्स कॉल सो द डिसीजन स्टेज द बैट्समैन इज आउट?
Yeah.
What is it trying to say is कि we are not 100% sure that it will hit the stumps,
So stay with the
but
umpire. Yeah.
the probability of it hitting the stumps than it is missing is higher as per the technology. And because the umpire also gave it out, unless and until there is a foolproof evidence that it is not going to hit the stump, the decision will stay. That is the
Right.
basis behind umpire's call, right? My point is, you are still playing on probabilities. The umpire also himself is not sure whether the ball will actually hit or not. If he was sure, and if the evidence suggests that, then you don't need a DRS in the first place, or you don't need an umpire's call in the first place. So it's a chicken and egg situation. It's a
Absolutely.
matter of
It's
perspective.
very debatable as well. And
Yeah.
if you look at it again, so when there's umpire's call, it stays with the umpire, right? So the umpire is sure about something that which technology supports that. So it's not that the umpire is not sure when it's hitting. Only when he's sure it's hitting that he is giving it as out as well. And
Yeah, I mean, I
technology is
don't know.
there to
Yeah.
back that. Yeah,
Yeah, he's sure. So he's sure from his human perspective.
absolutely.
And
Which tech
technology is
is
not
backing.
sure. Technology is not, no, but technology is not backing it 100%. Technology is saying the probability of it being true is higher than the probability of it being false. Okay? In critical games, uh, it is a debatable thing, and I'm not saying I'm against it or I'm for it,
Yeah,
but
totally.
I mean, it's a gray area here. I would really hope if something better comes up. But with regards to the DRS, sorry, the hotspot
Hotspot.
thing, I I am not really sure on what is happening or why is it not allowed or why is it allowed in certain countries.
It's pretty interesting because it's good to have technology that should be implemented. Right, that's true.
What was
And
your
yeah,
second? Yeah.
second one was, do you see Test cricket being cut down to 4 days? Because of the results that we see nowadays, test matches are over within 2.5, 3 days, or max to max 4 days. Hardly any tests go into the fifth day as well. And there's a lot of talk about this happening as well.
Again, that goes back to how the model is implemented. If you
Mm.
have specialized teams for Test cricket going forward, then you, and it's not only the teams, it's also the pitches, it's also the conditions, right?
Mhm.
So if you have specialized teams going forward alongside specialized pitches per se, which allow for a fair game between bat and ball, then I would say that you will see 5 day test matches coming into play, but that's a lot of assumption to work with. Uh, uh, to answer your question in the most practical scenario, with whatever we've discussed, given that the game is evolving at to be much quicker than what it is, the likelihood of it becoming a 4 day format
Mm.
than it continuing to stay as a 5 day format and them changing the variables to continue having it as a 5 day format is lesser, is what I would say. What is your
Yeah.
opinion on that?
My opinion is we started with 6 days, if you remember. It was a 6 day test match for this platform, and they brought down to 5 days. And I
It
feel
was
with
actually started with an unlimited day,
yeah, right,
yeah,
right.
but yeah,
Yeah. And it's very much real, the possibility of 4 day test cricket, because if you see, even if a domestic league, Ranjis are played as a 4 day test match. So they even county cricket, I think it's 4 day, if I'm not wrong, in England. So there are sports that are played and they get results. So it's very much possible that the international test cricket could also move to the 4 day. And I feel it's okay also because hardly we see any, statistically speaking, we should pull those stats, but statistically speaking, there is hardly any matches that go into 5 day cricket as well. So why have that day also?
wait. I would say the workday also should be a 4 day week, but that's another topic. But at any point, if my manager watches this podcast, it's just a comment. Yeah, but yeah, man.
Yeah,
I
if
take
my
it
manager is
positively.
working, I'm very serious. You should do it. It should be a 4-day week.
But if you ask Narayan Murthy, then he'll go the other way. So
70
yeah,
weeks.
for each his own. But ठीक है यार, this was a wonderful thing. I think we've passed more than an hour. But I
Yeah.
would love to do more such episodes.
Yes, yes. But before we go, like your starting 11 for India versus
अरे
Australia.
यार, yeah, yeah. Actually, we should do that. I don't know. We've been hearing news reports of
Gill
players
is
being
injured.
injured,
Yeah.
but say assuming that Shubman Gill is not going to be available because from the reports his injury seems a bit more of a concern than KL Rahul. I think KL Rahul also suffered some sort of a minor uh, injury to his elbow or something. But I'm assuming
Just
that
reading through, like he started batting again in the next.
who
Tail round.
KL, exactly. So,
Yeah.
assuming that KL is available to be selected and Shubman is not, my playing 11 would be uh, as much as I would want to give Abhimanyu Ishwaran a go with Jaiswal, but I think KL should be the right choice because
Mhm.
the start of a long series such as a five test match series and that too in Australia, the start really matters. And for all that we speak about, India might be reduced to 30 for 3 in like an hour's play. But again, it's all about probabilities, right? And I would want to have an experienced batter the first innings of a test series that we face uh, to have a solid batter there. So KL Rahul and Jaiswal to open. Who comes in place of
Interesting. KL Rahul and Jaiswal. Yeah.
yeah, because Rohit is not
I
available for the first test, right?
he is, I think, right? He's trying. He already gave like his wife already gave birth, and he is
Yeah.
expected
So
to
again,
join.
I don't know if he's obviously if he's going to be available, then it's going to be Rohit and Jaiswal. But I'm going with the assumption that Rohit is not going to be
Okay.
available. So let's prepare two teams, right? So if Rohit isn't available, it's KL and Jaiswal. And then the third
Mhm.
place is something that you got to think about because Shubman usually, I think, he's made a place for himself
Mhm.
one down over there. But with him not being available, I've heard of reports that Padikkal is called on to the squad. Um, but I don't really know if Padikkal should be batting at three. In that scenario, I would want to make a change, and this is just off the books. I know India's not going to do that, but had I been Gambhir and had I been Bumrah being the captain, I would have said let Padikkal and Jaiswal open, KL bat at three, Kohli at four, um, Pant at five, and six is again. People are saying that you
Sarfaraz,
would want. Sorry.
Sarfaraz Khan.
Yeah, but people are saying that for the depth in batting and also an added bowling option, Nitish Reddy might get a
Mhm.
look in. Uh, and I think I wouldn't be betting against it, man. Yeah, let's
He's
go
good.
with
I think he should
yeah,
be given.
let's
And
go with
that was
yeah,
yeah.
let's go with six Nitish Reddy, seven Jadeja, and then 8, 9, 10, 11 would be. Uh,
Ashwin.
I mean, I don't know if Ashwin will
I
play.
feel Ashwin for me is an automatic choice in all the matches he should play.
He
More than
should.
Jadeja, I think. Yeah.
He should, but would he is a question, right?
Because he also provides a batting option, given India's reputation for being 30 for 3. You need one to bat
I will
India to
tell you
bat deep
if
as well.
I will tell you if we are going to be relying on Ashwin's batting to save us, then man, it's going to be a very long tour for us again, and we are staring down the barrel. But yeah, I mean, uh, uh, Ashwin, yeah, I think you can still accommodate him given that you have an added pace bowler in Nitish Reddy. Uh,
Yeah.
and then you have 9, 10, 11, which would be I would love to give Akashdeep an opportunity because he has in almost every spell that he's bowled he's picked up wickets,
Yeah.
and you've seen him that he picks up one, he picks up two,
And
so
he's not
he's
gone for a lot of runs also.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think uh, you need that kind of a bowler in the absence of Shami. But yeah, man, it's interesting that Shami's also started bowling in Ranjis. While,
Ranjis.
while in my opinion, he won't be. It would be too early for him to be included in the first test. Even if you have him for the from the third test, it's a great asset to have, right?
Hmm.
But at least for the first two tests, I would have Ashwin at 8, and then 9, 10, 11 would be Akashdeep, Bumrah, and
Siraj.
yeah, I mean, that is how it's going to be. But I would also love to see Harshit Rana there. Yeah.
Hmm.
But having said that, uh, I don't think Akashdeep is an automatic selection. Siraj would be. I
Hmm.
think it would be Prasidh Krishna who would be selected to partner alongside Bumrah and Siraj, because Prasidh Krishna uh, seems to have that bounce that is required in Gaba. Uh, but I would opt for Akashdeep because he can skid the ball, and
Right.
I think in the older with the older ball itself, uh, he seems to be a bit effective. And yeah, that would be my
I think
11.
he's more similar to Shami. So that would give a different variety compared to Bumrah and Siraj as a third seamer.
Then in that case, I would not have Siraj and have Prasid, Bumrah,
Hmm.
and Akashdeep, and then your fourth seamer being Nitish Kumar, and then you have two spinners. That kind of has a well balanced side to it. The
Hmm.
only thing is that um, I don't think Prasid played a part in the 21 series, so it will only be amongst the fast bowlers. It will only be Bumrah who's played a Test series down under. So experience might be a bit of a problem, but given the conditions, I think this looks like a really good attack to go with. Bumrah, uh, uh, Akashdeep, Prasid, Nitish Kumar, and then your spin twins of Jadeja and Ashwin. What
Two
about you?
spinners. So yeah, like the Perth wicket is not fast as it used to do earlier, I think. So India may be tempted to play two spinners instead of one. So I am bit. I'll go with the bowlers first. Like Bumrah is an automatic choice. I think they will go with Siraj because he has played in Australia earlier as well, and just to give him a tryout in the first test, he will get into the 11. Ashwin for sure. I'm bit confused between Jadeja and Prasidh Krishna, and Jadeja and Prasidh Krishna. I think they will go for another seaming option if they think that it's a seaming wicket. And number five would be this guy who we were just speaking about. Sorry,
Nitish Kumar.
not Nitish Kumar. Not Nitish
Akashdeep.
Kumar. Akashdeep, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Fifth bowler would be Akashdeep. Then Pant is an automatic choice. If I start from top, I see Jaiswal opening with Rohit Sharma. And if not Rohit, KL Rahul. One down, there's no Gill. So I think it would be a tough choice between if Gambhir wants to play his antics, he could promote Sarfaraz to number three. That could be a make or break.
Or what do you think about what Virat did in the New Zealand series? He moving up a spot, and then Sarfaraz and Pant exchanging between 4 and 5.
It could be a possibility, but I think Virat would keep his number four. I don't see him in the first test at least, moving to number three. It could be
Given
a
that
probability.
Rohit isn't there and Shubman isn't there,
Hmm.
the added responsibility of anchoring the innings falls on Virat, because the others around are pretty much new. Yeah, barring KL. Uh, so would that make as a feasible choice for Virat to move, given the state at which India will be walking into the series, and the fact that it's the first match of the series?
Yeah.
So,
I think if KL is there and Rohit also plays, Jaiswal and Rohit can open KL
then
one
you
down.
don't have a problem. Yeah,
Then do not, yeah. But if Rohit does not play, then but I think Kohli at number four is more suitable because the form he's in, he should not change positions advisedly. But yeah, anything could happen. We never know what Gambhir is up to. Maybe Bumrah could come down at number three.
yeah, I think Gambhir
Yes.
is under a lot of pressure to do those antics as of now. But yeah, but so you're still maintaining Nitish Kumar as your all-rounder, is it?
Yes. Rishabh Pant and Rishabh Pant wicketkeeper and Nitish Kumar. It gives six bowling options. That means, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you need six options. You can't go with
Yes.
five options.
Yeah. And Nitish
Yeah,
can
man.
bat as well.
Sorry.
Nitish can bat as well. He's a
You know
pretty
what?
good.
I think I would want to actually change one spot. Did I mention Sarfaraz? I don't think I had
No,
Sarfaraz.
you didn't.
Oh, I had Devdutt, right?
Yeah,
But I think there could also be a toss up between Dhruv Jurel and Devdutt here because
yeah.
Dhruv
Dhruv
Jurel
Jurel
has
has
been,
played well, but is it?
yeah,
He's a backup, right? Is he part of the squad?
he
No,
is
he's
part of
there.
the squad. Yeah,
He's part. It's in second
yeah.
wicket keeper.
And he was the one who,
India
pitched
18.
both the innings of the tour game. So,
Yes. Mm.
I mean, I don't know. Recency, if recency bias and form has to be taken into account, Dhruv Jurel has to find a place. Uh, but is the team in for that much of an experimentation at the start of the series? Is the question. And it's
I
going to
think
be
they'll play
interesting.
safe. Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see how that pans out. Uh, I would also love to do a
Auction.
IPL. Not
Auction.
for options. We need a lot more people, but just on where each of the teams stands and who do they need for roles as well as potential players as well is something that would be good to do. But I think the auction is happening next
Next
week.
week.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I don't know if we'll find time between now and then to do a preview of it, but we can
Maybe we,
certainly do a
if yeah,
review of.
if we don't find time, obviously we can from the squad that this week we can maybe see
Yeah, yeah.
how we will fill in
Let's
the
do a.
slots.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do a team review of how the teams stack up and what's the balance looking like. Yeah, I
Yes.
think.
Yes, this has been great. We started off thinking we'll not even last for 30 minutes. We ended up talking for 1.5 hours.
Yeah, the problem with this is going to be that this is not going to go on Instagram, so we'll have to upload this on YouTube. But this has
Yes.
been really great, man, and I would really wish for us to do more such conversations more frequently and keep this going.
Let's go. Great.
Chal, ठीक
Chalo.
है भाई. Thank you so much.
Take
You have
care.
a good week, and
You too.
I'll see you